Ask us all to stand up and welcome Cohen Levi. Cohen Levi. Hallelujah.
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 Please be seated, brothers and sisters. First thing I want to do is to say that I hope and pray that the Most High God would give me the wisdom, however small the amount, however large, whatever He put upon me, to understand and know that people have done you a very great service. I've never been a crybaby or nothing, you know, but sometimes lately you fighting off tears because of the respect and admiration that I've gotten from coming into this gathering. And I'm here because, first of all, I like to be around Israelite people, and Prince was has been like a son to me. And I know him, long years. And I've told you the story, some of you don't know, and I tell stories over and over. That's what happens when you get old, you know, you get shaky. When the book is from me, I can read it, and I know what I'm talking about. But sometimes you forget what you said yesterday or the day before. You might not remember what you're supposed to say tomorrow. But brothers and sisters, it is a pleasure to be in your presence. And I thank God for Prince. And they told me, when my son, who's sitting here, the drummer man, and he told me, he said, you know, every week when Prince gets up, he says, and includes you in the prayer. And I said, not every week. So he said, every single week, every time. He said he speaks about Cohen. So I said, well, that's such a blessing. Why? Because when you get men that are out here doing things that they have done in life that have been good, bad, or some of them are slippery, some wonderful. You understand? All kind of character sets in people as you go through, because we are in captivity. They've captured our minds, our hearts, try to get the Ruach. They have not captured our spirits. And when you take a young man, like when I met this young man, and I don't even remember who brought him around to the little place we had over in the Hashaba, a little dinky place that we had fixed up to be best we could. And it was, people were coming. God was just sending them to me. God has been good to me from the day when I came out of my mother's womb. That does not mean that I haven't had problems and troubles and deaths and everything. He's been good to me since I come from my mother's womb. I don't know why, but I'm very happy for it.
Amen.
And when I get over this feeling that always comes upon me when I stand up to speak at first, you know, you feel like, who is you? Because I know this guy. He ain't all that. He would like to be up to what people say and the praise he get. But I know him. I know him so personally. This fella here standing in this white robe, he can't tell me nothing. And he better thank God for the goodness that God has been showing him day after day in his life. And this young fella, Prince, came up and he was a drummer. They told me he could drum. We didn't have drumming then. I don't know, I don't want to go and be bragging and say I started drumming in Israel, because I didn't. They had one drummer over in BINAH before I did, and he went on the road and all. He got halfway famous anyway. But they said, and he wasn't a prince. He said Zippor, and he was picking his tribe. And he said, because we had picking tribes then. Now they say, you can't pick your tribe. I don't want to be nasty or nothing like that, so I just go into my childhood thing. When you say you can't do this, can't do that, I say, pfft. Anyway, he said he was a drummer. I said, can you really drum? They said, yeah. And certain of the men say, oh, he can drum. He can drum his head off. So I said, okay. So I said, next week you come in and you know, and you can drum for us. So next week came, afternoon service, and we had 3 ladies there who used to sing. Mm-hmm. And they were very charming. They could sing. And what did they call themselves?
Quolo.
Quolo. And one was a very tall, very thin lady. And then the other one was a medium-sized and very stout lady. And then the other one was short and very stout lady. And they had the thin one in the middle. And so when they used to sing, sometimes they'd get carried away, you know, they'd be singing, and they'd bump. And when they bumped, then when and I told them, stop bumping or you're going to bump her away. Both of you all are like this and she's like that. Oh, and we had a good time. Anyway, it's time for Prince to play. And Prince said, where's all the rest of the drummers? I said, we don't know the rest of the drummers. You said you could drum. You're the drummer. He said, by myself? And I said, that's it. Ta-da. And he could drum. And he drummed. And then after that, so that's how God, like I said, he's always been with me. 2-3 weeks, I had about 6-7 drummers. They just hadn't said they could drum. And they got together, and the Hashaba drummers became famous all over Israelites, with Israelites. And today, we got drumming all over, everybody, and because of that. And it's a fabulous time. And I come before you this afternoon. I want to show you something about this day. I want to show you a historic thing that happened at this time. And it starts out in the book of Ruth. And it says 4 chapters. Not very long. I hope I don't bore you or take too much time or any of those things that can get on your nerves. But, and my Lord, the paper I gave you? Yeah, because I got some notes. Oh, it's in there? Okay. That I use. I've had this for years, you know. I did a lot of studying, and I'm proud of that I studied, that Yehovah allowed me to. And again, he's always been good to me. I needed the time to study, and a young lady who I buried years ago said to me, she was my Isha, and she said, you need to go and sit down and write and do things and so that you can have a different outlook for Israel, because you've got it going where you really seem to understand, saying we've never had that type of understanding. And I was raised up in America. And so I said, I can't do that. I said, because I have to work. And she said, I am working. She was a very smart woman, college woman and all, and she had a good job. She could really make up some cash that we need. And she said, so you go. And I said, no, I'm not doing that. I said, because this is my family, and I do this and that. And she said, listen, you go into them Edomites places and you look, you said, and you see them, everybody's a rabbi. And she said, and they're young men, and they don't do anything but study the rabbinical this and that. And she said, and they still are not the children of Israel and know what we're about. She said, and their husbands, they don't work at all. They barely study. And said, but how do they make it? She said, their wives are out there being secretaries and blah, blah, blah. She said, I want to do this so that you can go. She said, I'm telling you that you really got to do this. So I said, okay, I'm going to take a shot at it, because she could made 4 times my salary. And I started. I loved it. And I did research, and I did write prayers, and I wrote songs. I wrote a lot of songs, you know. You all sing some of my songs, don't you? Yes. Yeah. And I'm never going to be rich, I don't think, money rich. But I'm already rich. I don't remember. The only time I go hungry is on Yom Kippur. and there's a couple of places I go that I can call home, and greet it like I am home. And children, you know, you all know I got a lot of children. Do I have children? I have living right now 10 sons and 14 daughters. I don't want to count the grandchildren, because the grandchildren ran away with the counting some years ago. So I just said, and when they say, ta-da, I knew, and I said, hey, we give a baby. If I had anything I can give them, maybe fine. And I got great-grandchildren, I think 13 or 14. And I have 2 great-great-grandchildren. And I said, now what more can a man like me ask? You understand? So when they say he's a great guy, I'm only one I know great with me is Almighty God. And brothers and sisters, and I'm not joking. And if I can touch your heart or your mind to do anything that is godly in this day and time, and I'll tell you something, I know that there's nothing perfect about me. I wouldn't even dare go there. Because you see, I have in my heart great love for the nation of Israel, and I have great hatred for those who did what they do to us and what they're doing now. But I love the Almighty God because he made hate and love and honor and disrespect and killings and everything. So that I don't know how it's going to come about, but I do know this is healthy for me to hate my enemy. I don't hate him as an idiot or a fool. When I'm in company, I'm always a man that can speak to anybody on anything if you don't get out of line. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. Because I'm not taking anything where you're going to try to make my people look small, or you're speaking to the wrong one. We have to cut this conversation off, and I mean cut it off. I'm talking about like this. I remember, I'm going to get into this. I just ramble on because I have so many things in my memory, and when I look out, they may help somebody the way I talk. Right. And it makes me think of, I'm a man who out to take a drink. The brothers know that, don't they? Yeah. I say I'll take a drink. I said, didn't say I'll get drunk. Right. I think a drunkard, I got drunk twice in my life. Once I was about 16, and I was going to court my first wife. And the boys, the brothers, the little gang we had, they were there drinking, and I wanted to know what it was about. And we know we didn't know anything. And we were stupid because we were drinking that night some gin and some rum and some, I didn't mix up stuff like that. And she lived in a place, you had to go up the flight of stairs. They had their own three-place house. And when I got up to the stairs, at the top of the stairs, I've been trying to court this young lady who we did marry, and she gave me children anyway. And she said to me, "You're drunk." And I said, "Drunk? I've never been drunk." And fell down the stairs. Ripped up my brand new gray suit that I just bought so that I wanted to show her how grand I could be and take her out. Was lucky I had 2 pair of pants in those days for the suit. See, I'm an old man. I'm going back to, and 2 pair of pants, and you pick the material and the style, and it cost $19. That's right. So you know that was way back. And I threw up. I cannot stand to get sick on my stomach because God said it's got to come out of you. What's the sense in holding it? And I was so embarrassed and hurt. And then and I didn't hardly ever drink anything then. And I didn't go back to drinking. And about 2 years or so, maybe it was much later than that. Anyway, I drank again something called 10-year rum. Comes from the islands, because I had some of it when I went to Guyana too, and it almost did it again. And I'm walking in the dark of night with some people, and drunk. I don't even have my senses. And we wanted a cab so we could get home. I'm going to go in the middle of the street on, I can't remember the avenue now, in the Bronx, in the black of night, a cab hurtling down. I'm going to stop it. Stop it with what? I don't know, maybe my body. And the cab missed me by an inch, and it came so close that I almost sobered up, but I'm still unsteady. But I realized, I said, "What are you doing?" Then I get to the young lady's house, and I throw up all over the couch. That was the last time that I ever been drunk in my life, and I was embarrassed and hurt. And now, every time I think about drunk, again, I have new reason to say, "Todah Yehovah," I thank God. Why? For them 2 drunks. Because if I have my way, those are the 2 last times I'll ever be drunk. But I take a drink. Yes, I can handle it. But if it look anywhere near not time to handle that, I don't need that. So many things, brothers and sisters, have been in our lives. Who are you? And what have you done that God would say, wake up, wake up, you wake up, ladies, men. He's being very good to us now. And so now we can look in this book, and I want you to come and read this with me, because this happened a long time ago. This book, in the book of Ruth. It's only 4 chapters, and we're going to get into it. And it happened around this time, and that's why I picked it. And I love doing it because it just shows what? Just that this is what happened to a family in Israel long time ago, and was the basis of very great things happening later on in the house of Yisrael.
Amen.
So without further ado, my reader is who? I think I know him.
We're in the book of Ruth, chapter 1, verse 1. Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
And it came to pass in the days when the judges judged that there was a famine in the land. And a certain man of Bethlehem in Yehudah went to sojourn in the field of Moab, he and his wife and his 2 sons.
Now, you notice this. It starts off bad. There was famine in the land. You know, all things happen to all people. And we must get that into our heads. This is not any Christian dialogue. We are not Muslims. They're going to the, what do? They go to what? What is it?
The mosque.
I'm sorry, I can't get it. No, I didn't say, not talking about the place. I'm talking about where they supposed to, what happens when they die.
Oh, Mecca.
Paradise. And all of that.
Pilgrimage.
There's none of that. I don't know what happens when God takes this spirit away from this soul. I don't know. But I do know this, that when you are here, he gives you a good chance to do a whole lot of things if you want to. And if you listen to him, I was listening to the brother here. The young brother spoke so nicely. I didn't know he could speak like that. I'm very impressed. And I say, oh boy, I know my son there, Prince, he's doing good. Because, I mean, he spoke very well. And he used the term Father, meaning Almighty God. But it was just nice to listen to. I'm finding out that I'm in the midst of a whole lot of, so I'm not trying to make you smarter. I'm just trying, because I can see there's some pretty smart people around here. And godly is what I'm after, and that's what it looks like you all seem to be. Pleasant. Let's read some more.
And they continued, and they came into the field of Moab and continued there.
Right. They went over to the Moabites. Why? Because there was food there. They're starving. You understand? You know yourself that you don't want to starve to death. Some of us, you know, I remember when we have Yom Kippur in my old place, and after the day is over, because when we fasted. I think I was the first one to say, everybody fasts. He says every soul. So we fast the little children, babies, everybody. And I was so nervous when I first did it. I remember that Yom Kippur, first couple of years, Yom Kippur, and the first year was awful for me, because I'm telling everybody, a lady brought that to me. A lady's long been passed, and she was half Christian, and came over to know herself in Israel, and she wavered. And one time she told me, she said, the book says every soul should fast. She said, that means everybody, the children, the this, that. And I said, uh-oh, because I saw it as the same way she said it. I said, okay, so I told all the people, here's what it is, and here's what we do. And they're listening to me now, because they think this Cohen guy is a brilliant guy. And we fasted. That night, the babies, little babes in arms, everybody we fed. And I walked all night around that place, asking everybody, is the baby hungry? This and that. And they made it. They made it. And this lady I was telling you about, one of the singers, one of the little short, plump one who used to bump the little, one Yom Kippur, she was in the hospital having the baby that day. And she wouldn't feed the baby, and the hospital staff said if the baby died or anything happened to it, you your leader and all that where you talking this stuff, you were going to have to face the judges. So I walked that night, and nothing happened.
Amen.
The baby's healthy. I think she's somewhere married now up in Boston or so. Brothers and sisters, I love this God. I don't care if everybody in here says, you're just too much with that's your business. I'm telling you about the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who I know. I'm not just talking about fables and tales and things I'm dreaming up. This God is truly king.
Amen.
You can stick with him if you want, and you don't have to. He don't allow you. He doesn't say to you, he doesn't come to you any days and say, you better follow him, does he? No. You do as you darn well please. But he's giving you wisdom and knowledge and understanding every day by even watching your enemies we are under. But let's go on. He said,
and Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left and her 2 sons. And they took them wives of the women of Moab.
Right, married Moabite.
The name of the one was Orpah.
Orpah means youth, young and freshness, he said.
And the name of the other Ruth.
Ruth, friendship.
And they dwelt there about 10 years. And Machlon and Kilion died, both of them.
Now the boys died. You say, whoa, this is a story of woe.
And the woman was left of her 2 children and of her husband. Then she arose with her daughters-in-law, that she might return from the field of Moab. For she had heard in the field of Moab how that Yahweh had remembered his people and given them bread. Right,
now she want to go back home out of Moab's land because she heard things have gotten much better there. The harvest, is responding to God's orders. And now they got corn and wheat and things that are coming that will sustain us. One of the things that we must understand, that mankind has to eat and drink to survive. If you don't believe it, well, I know you believe it. You know why I know you believe it? Because we have Yom Kippur, and everybody in here, I'm sure, does Yom Kippur. And at the end of Yom Kippur, oh boy, I know I do every time I do it, and I'm out with the people, and after it's over, and I said, that wasn't so bad, was it? And we're still in community sitting waiting to go to the soups that they got on now and something to start it out. And everybody said, yeah, I said, in fact, how many people would like to do it again? And about 20 hands go up. And I said, you all do it. I'm going to eat. But it's just amusing. It's wonderful how God can get his people back. But anyway, she wants to go back home. Let's see what happens.
And she went forth out of the place where she was, and her 2 daughters-in-law with her. And they went on the way to return unto the land of Yehudah. And Naomi said unto her 2 daughters-in-law, go, return each of you to her mother's house. Yahweh deal kindly with you, as ye have dealt with the dead and with me.
Right. He said, you're all beautiful ladies. It's too bad that it seems that I'm an unfortunate woman. I guess you would say, if they use the term then, bad luck to everybody. Because they come out, you married my sons, they didn't produce any children, see, and now they're dead, my husband's dead, now all I got is 2 daughters-in-law with no husbands for them, and they're Moabites. Then I'm going home, she said.
Yahweh grant you that you may find rest, each of you in the house of her husband.
Find you now, she's predicting. Go on, find you a husband, both of you. And that's something, that is happening today that is throwing us off. We don't think of that like that anymore, You got the young ladies now to get married. I don't know, married. But in those days, that was an honored position,
right,
to marry. That's what you grew up to do, to marry. Why? So that you can continue to be a nation. Because you would have your wife, and the wife would have children, and the children would grow up and have children. And the children are supposed to bury the fathers, not the fathers bury the children. That's backward. We are all mixed up here. Old people going to the funeral of their son. He just got shot. He's only 19 or 20 years old, or 30, or 40. The fathers have to bury the sons now. Sometimes they bury them because they took an overdose. That's sickening. That's so very sickening. Overdose. All kind of drugs we use. I don't know how we do it, but there's no sense in me just holding you up there on that. I could go on forever about these drugs. I snorted one once. I always remember it. I will always remember till the day I die if my memory don't go, because sometimes you get real old, memory goes. But I remember it very much because I was going to the movies with two brothers who I loved, who I hung out with, my pals, and we had heard about drugs, but I didn't really know anything about it, and came up, and Foster Dash, that was his name, he's dead now, and he said to me, "Hey man, take this," he said, "and go in the B.I.NAH, right, the bar where we had met at, to go to the movies together that day. We were youngsters, early 20s. And he said, and it's nice, it's good and bad. He said, make you feel really good. And I said, what is it? He said, he said, just go on. He said, so I went inside in the B.I.NAH, and the other brother was, he said, yeah, you got to do it like this. That time there wasn't mainlining and all that hadn't come in yet. And snorted. And it went my nose and came down my throat. And when it came down my throat, it made me gag and throw up. The one thing that I hate of sickness, of all things I can ever think about, is throwing up. I hate to throw up. I'm glad when I do, because then it's like, oh. But the sickness that you're trying to hold it, and it's just terrifying. Anyway, I threw up, and that's the worst thing in the world for me. And I went outside after I washed my face and all, and Foster was standing on the curb like this, and I went out and I hit Foster in the face, bow, and knocked Foster in the street. And got him, he said, what's the matter? I said, what is that stuff? And he said, oh man, that's, what did we call it in those days? They had a nickname for it, heroin. I can't think of it. See how long it is with me, and that's, that's a later name even. See, I go back further. But at any rate, you know what I'm talking about. Doogie. That's what we called it, doogie. And I said, he said, that's doogie, and blah, 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 blah. And I said, let me tell you something. And I was never a man of violence. If you fight me, you can get some violence, yes. Other than that, I'm not going to. I liked black people to stick together. Even when I was young, I didn't know who I was. I always wondered, and I used to ask my mother and my father, why do colored people or Negro people or whatever we was calling ourselves always fight one another? A white boy say something to me, I'll bust you all over the world, I'll beat you up. I don't want to fight the brother. Why? Because I just had that feeling. God was working with me then. I didn't know it, though, till I got to be 31 years old when he woke me up. But the point is that I always felt like that. And so I told Foster, I said, listen, don't ever give my brother. I had 3 brothers and a sister. She was in the middle of us, 2 boys and a girl, and then 2 girls. And we thought she was the greatest thing in the earth. And I told him, if you ever give any of them anything like that, I will kill you. Now, killing is a hard word.
Yes.
And they did not know me like that. I don't know me like that. But I meant that because I could see something was going to be very bad about this stuff. At any rate, brothers and sisters, let's go on, because I get off the subject.
Then she kissed him, and they lifted up their voice and wept. Mm-hmm. And they said unto her, nay, but we will return with thee unto thy people.
Right.
And Naomi said, turn back, my daughters. Why will you go with me? Have I yet sons in my womb,
right,
that they may be your husbands?
Notice the accent on this husband is very heavy. You got to grow up and get married. Go find you a man so you can raise a family. That's what life is about. She said,
turn back, my daughters. Go your way, for I am too old to have a husband. If I should say, I have hope, should I even have a husband tonight and also bear sons?
Right.
Would ye tarry for them till they were grown?
Right. This is going to be very lopsided now, because even if I have them tonight, like she said, then you got to wait till they get up some age, and you all are not going to stay at the same age, you know.
Mm-hmm. Would ye shut yourselves off for them and have no husbands?
Right.
Nay, my daughters, for it grieveth me much for your sakes. For the hand of Yahweh is gone forth against me. And they lifted up their voice and wept again. And Orpah kissed her mother-in-law, but Ruth cleaved unto her.
Right. Orpah say, I got the message. I'm out of here. Yes, go back to my people. She's right there in her land. It said, but now this other young woman, Ruth. What did it say the name means?
But Ruth cleaved unto her.
Ruth cleaved unto her. Because Ruth found out something, you know. And you might say, well, this isn't written in this book, this crazy man. But like I said, I read this book, and I think, and I pray, and God has shown me a lot of things. Ruth said, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob is my God. That's what she said. I believe that to my heart. It even says a little something back there. It don't say that pointedly, but that's what she said. I'm hanging with this old lady. I'm going to go back with her to her people because I found out her God is God. But let's read some more. Maybe will you be convinced like I was.
And she said, behold, thy sister-in-law is gone back unto her people and unto her God. Return thou after thy sister-in-law. And Ruth said, entreat me not to leave thee.
Now listen to Ruth, because Ruth is very serious now. She's telling us, don't ask me again to leave you. She said,
and to return from following after thee. For whither thou goest, I will go. And whither thou lodgest, I will lodge.
Wherever you're going to slay and sleep, I'm going to be there.
Thy people shall be my people, and thy God my God.
Because I found out the way you talk and do. This God is a great God, the real God, the only God. And you're a wonderful lady, and I'm going to be with you as if you was my mother. She said,
where thou diest, will I die, and there will I be buried. Jehovah do so to me, and more also, if aught but death part thee and me.
There you go. She said, the only thing going to part us is death. Now, you're going to stand here and argue with me, or can I pick up the bags and let's get moving?
And when she saw that she was steadfastly minded to go with her, she left off speaking unto her.
Sure.
So they two went until they came to Bethlehem. And it came to pass, when they were come to Bethlehem, that all the city was astir concerning them.
Astir, yes. There, a lot of stuff going on. They saw them. People saw them. And listen, they say.
And the woman said, is this Naomi?
Right.
And she said unto them, call me not Naomi, call me Mara. For the Almighty hath dealt very bitterly with me.
Right. She's very bitter. She had went away. She lost her husband. She lost her sons. And she still ain't got a thing because the land she put up before she left, at least her husband did because it was in his name and all. I know this because of the thing that comes up later on. And so she was just, she said, I'm not happy in nothing. You know, she'd been away, over 10 years at least we know. And she said, it has been a rotten life. That's what she said. She said, don't call me Naomi. Because Naomi means pleasant. She said, call me Mara. You know Mara is what?
Bitter.
Bitterness, yeah.
I went out full, and Yahweh have brought me back home empty. Why call ye me Naomi, seeing Yahweh have testified against me, and the Almighty have afflicted me?
Right.
So Naomi returned, and Ruth the Moabitess, her daughter-in-law, with her, who returned out of the field of Moab, and they came to Bethlehem in the beginning of barley harvest.
And that was about this time when we have barley harvest, when it comes the time for the Feast of Weeks, is about that, just about the time for barley and certain other crops.
Chapter 2. And Naomi had a kinsman of her husband's, a mighty man of valor, of the family of Elimelech, and his name was Boaz. And Ruth the Moabitess said unto Naomi, let me now go to the field, and glean among the ears of corn after him, in whose sight I shall find favor.
Boaz, you know, means, his name means fleetness and strength. So he was quite a fella. First of all, as we're going to find out, he was rich. And rich, in anybody's language, country, nativity says great. I don't care where you are. You know right now. And richness can be such a blessing and such a curse. Some of us sitting right in here, if we could get rich, let's say you hit the big thing tomorrow, whatever they play, because they play it all of so many things now. I'm sure you take a ticket every once in a while. And mind you, you have great hope for yourself, because you say, I don't know if this is supposed to be right with God, but if I hit this, oh Lord, I'm going to bless everybody. I'm going to give the temple this, and I'm going to give you, you just, oh boy. And I could see that. Suppose you did come up with $92 million, like they've been doing here lately, on one of them little slips of paper that cost you $2 or $3. Would that be something? And don't you wonder sometimes, you say, we're trying our best to be godly, do righteous. How come we don't never hit? I bought 10 tickets. You understand? There go your $20. So, so why don't we? And I cannot answer that kind of question, but I do hope and pray that the day that one of us wins, that it will be one of us that is a for real person. Mm-hmm. And I would hope this too, that would not change your life so drastically, except for one thing: you are now a rich Israelite. And that those around you are not going to become begging, crumbling Israelites, because if you want to give somebody something, you give it to them. And if you don't, that's your cotton-picking business. You understand? And shouldn't make the enemy, well, hit the thing and didn't give me but $150. You understand? She got $92 billion, something. Yes, but that's her money. And you say, well, yourself, you're thinking right now, but Cohen, that wouldn't be right. Maybe not. But God giveth, God taketh. You understand? Blessed be the name of God. Dwell there with that. Right now, all of us sitting in here, I assume that you are like poor as I am. I hope you're not. But the point is that I assume that, because birds of a feather sort of flock together. But I don't feel poor, especially when I'm here like I am today up here talking to you. I don't feel poor at all. I feel older because I'm getting old. And if you've noticed, I'm missing a few teeth. And so I try not to smile too much lately, but I'm going to get them fixed. How you like them apples? Yeah. I've been stalling. Why? Because I can't stand going to somebody and sitting in a chair and say, hurt me. It just seems so bad, because that's what he's going to do. He's going to hurt you. How many people dread the dentist? Oh, look here, we got brave people in here. I only see a few hands. Well, all right. Or, how many people got perfect teeth? One. Is that all, just one? Whoa, you're to be honored, sir. So, with all jokes aside, let us get back on into the story. And here we come into this one. He said,
and she said unto her, Go, my daughter. And she went and came and gleaned in the field after the reapers. Mm-hmm. And her hap was to light on the portion of the field belonging unto Boaz, mm-hmm. who was of the family of Elimelech.
Yes.
And behold, Boaz came forth from Bethlehem and said unto the reapers, Yehovah be with you. And they answered him, Yehovah bless thee.
So this was the type of man Boaz was. Jolly. It's good. It's easy, too, to be jolly when you're rich. You know? I mean, it's easier to be jolly than when you're poor. At any rate, he was that type of a fella. As I said, strong and witty and all of these things. And he had much land. And so they go and this gleaning. Gleaning was a sort of a self-made welfare. You understand? Rather than have our people begging, when the crops came around, then you had to secure your crops, get them off the land. They had gleaning people that they weren't doing so good. And so they'd come behind, and Yehovah say, leave some for the gleaners. Have a gleaning thing. So you take out, let's say there's a crop right here with, let's to say 20 stalks of corn. All right, you take 18. Or 17. And couldn't you go on to the next pile and the next land? And so that means the gleaners come along, here's 3 stalks still standing, and they're going to take some of that and this and that. The gleaners wind up with quite a bit after the gleaning season is over. It's our own way of providing help for the poor. because you're not going to glean if you're not poor. And if your lands did well, because then you can have some gleaners come to your land because you're doing fine. It was a self-made help program. That's the way I look at it, at any rate. And this is what he is. He owns all these lands, so he's a jolly, big, fine, like fellow. Let's read.
Then said Boaz unto his servant that was set over the reapers, Whose damsel was this?
Yeah, he know all the people, and being the big shot of the area, and he saw this woman, and I have reason to believe that she was beautiful of face and form.
Amen.
And you understand? And Boaz is not above, look, whoa. He says, come here, guys.
Okay.
Who's that? You know? And I think Boaz was kind of telling a fib. That when he said he knew who that was, he may had not have seen her. Boaz is the rich man of the area. He knows everything that goes down. So when she came in, you heard the fuss they made over the army coming home and all. They know, he knows who this is.
And the servant that was set over the reapers answered and said, It is a Moabitess damsel that came back with Naomi out of the field of Moab. And she said, Let me glean, I pray you, and gather after the reapers among the sheaves. So she came and have continued even from the morning until now.
Right.
Save that she tarried a little in the house.
I noticed that in the third verse, you know, it says that, where is that? She went and her hap was to light on the portion of the field belonging unto Boaz. And I said, that's God's hap.
Right.
Not hap. It didn't happen just so happen. Yeah, it happened because Jehovah wanted to. Because there is, in this God of eternity, who I believe can see the past, the present, and the future at one time, he saw, what did he see happening here? We will see as we go along.
Then said Boaz unto Ruth, Hearest thou not, my daughter? Go not to glean in another field, neither pass from hence, but abide here fast by my maidens. Let thy eyes be on the field that they do reap, and go thou after them. Have I not charged the young men that they shall not touch thee? And when thou art thirsty, go unto the vessels and drink of that which the young men have drawn.
Right. He's showing her hospitality. And at the same time, it is my understanding belief, he has an eye for the ladies. And as I said, I'm rich, I'm powerful, and I got not bad as this lady. And he wasn't thinking as sloppily maybe as we would today, because most of us today, we've been thinking about mita. But see, they thought about marriage. And it was in those days that you could have 1 or 2 or 3 wives. Solomon made a bucket of himself, of course, but then who was Solomon except Solomon? When I say a bucket, you know what I mean. A real dummy. Because that's what our great man, very wise, very handsome, very knowledgeable man, he became a bucket. Because any man that's going to take, how many wives did he have?
700.
700 wives.
300
concubines. If that ain't a bucket, I've never kicked or seen a bucket. That is pure stupidity. And you are reigning over the people. They looking for you for the wisdom and the help and the you know what I mean, the show that this is a great nation. You're the head. Can you imagine a man with 1,000 wives? I said I include the concubine wives. The same thing you're going to do with the concubine, do with the wives. Can you just imagine that? They tell me that in this calendar here we got, what, 356 days, something like that? You ain't had time to go, and mind you, there's Shabbat, there's holy days. What are you talking about? I see it like this. Solomon walking down with his grand vizier, or whatever they call him. He's got his list and things to do, and they walk by, and a beautiful, beautiful woman slips by, and she bows and says, Shalom Aleichem, my husband. And he says, oh, shalom, shalom. He said, I can't be with you right now. I'm going to do some business. I'll see you later. And he walked away and he said, who's that? Who is that? And the grand vizier looks in his paper. He said, that's wife number 680. Her name is such and such. You brought her out of the land of... We're laughing, but can you see it? Idiocy. No wonder he died, what is 56 or 7? Yes. Let's get back to our story.
Then she fell on her face and bowed down to the ground and said unto him, Why have I found favor in thy sight, that thou shouldest take cognizance of me, seeing I am a foreigner?
Right.
And Boaz answered and said unto her, It hath fully been told me all that thou hast done unto thy mother-in-law since the death of thy husband, and how thou hast left thy father and thy mother and the land of thy nativity, and art come unto a people that thou knewest not heretofore.
Right.
Yehovah recompense thy work, and be thy reward complete from Yehovah, the God of Yisrael, under whose wings thou art come to take refuge.
Right. And also, which they left that out, you're very beautiful. He didn't say that. You understand? But this is a flirtation going on here, as I think I'll prove my point before it's over.
Then she said, Let me find favor in thy sight, my Lord, for that thou hast comforted me, and for that thou hast spoken to the heart of thy handmaid, though I be not as one of thy handmaidens. And Boaz said unto her at mealtime, Come hither, and eat of the bread, and dip thy morsel in the vinegar.
Oh, isn't he courteous? Yes. Now he's helping out like she doesn't know how to eat.
And she sat beside the reapers, and they reached her parched corn, and she did eat and was satisfied and left thereof.
Now the parts of the other one, they're helping out too. Why? Because she's found favor with the boss, with the big shot, with the rich man, who they're all working under or reaping behind. So she's there, they're watching. And the Israelite women are not too pleased, if I could say. They don't say that there, but I know Israelite women. Not too pleased. I'm not saying they're all angry and up, because back then we had a little bit different type of manners, but women have been women since God said Adam needed a mate. There, yes, they can be a mess.
And when she was risen up to glean, Boaz commanded his young men, saying, Let her glean even among the sheaves, and put her not to shame.
And also
pull out some for her purpose from the bundles, and leave it, and let her glean and rebuke her not.
Now, do you think maybe I have a point? He ain't doing that for any of them other ones, who are the homebodies. And all of a sudden now help her. Of course you could say, well, she was a stranger, and she was doing all right gleaning before he came. They glean in Moab.
So she gleaned in the field until even, and she beat out that which she had gleaned, and it was about an ephah of barley. And she took it up and went into the city, and her mother-in-law saw what she had gleaned, and she brought forth and gave to her that which she had left after she was satisfied.
Right, that was really something. When you said after she had satisfied, that's the doggy bag.
Right.
See, but yes.
And her mother.
But that's what she bring home there after she was satisfied. She can't eat the stuff. She just brought the gleaning. They didn't cook it or anything. Brought home something for her mother-in-law to see that she eats too. And like I say, in the day we call it a doggy bag. You know, when you go in the restaurant and you order too much, and you say, I'm not leaving all that food there. Hey, pack that up, waiter, and take it home with you.
And her mother-in-law said unto her, Where hast thou gleaned today? And where wardest thou? Blessed be he that did take knowledge of thee. And she told her mother-in-law with whom she had wrought, and said, The man's name with whom I wrought today is Boaz.
Mother-in-law was shrewd, you know. This lady had been through everything. Because right away, you hear her. She said, where's he wrought today? And, you know, blessed be he that did take knowledge of thee, because you got a lot here for a gleaner. Yes, something was going down. Mother-in-law is shrewd. She knows.
And Naomi said unto her daughter-in-law, Blessed be he of Yehovah, who have not left off his kindness to the living and to the dead. And Naomi said unto her, The man is nigh of kin unto us, one of our near kinsmen.
Right.
And Ruth the Moabitess said, Yea, he said unto me, Thou shalt keep fast by my young men until they have ended all my harvest.
Right. You come back here and glean, because I'll see that you have something to glean.
And Naomi said unto Ruth her daughter-in-law, It is good, my daughter, that thou go out with his maidens, and that thou be not met in any other field. So she kept fast by the maidens of Boaz, to glean unto the end of barley harvest and of wheat harvest, and she dwelt with her mother-in-law.
Right. Did I leave something? I remember there's a part there, and I should have commented on it. And they said that she gleaned except for the time she went in the house. We read that over? Right. And I wanted to point out, you don't go into the master's house. For what you going in his house for? To go to the bathroom. And in that time they had a bathroom out there for the gleaners. If I know I'm rich, you can't have all the gleaners coming into my bathroom. Mm-hmm. Especially if I got all this. And besides, in those days, they used to have the houses out in the back. My grandmother and them had them in Virginia where I was born. Yeah, we had an outhouse that you had to go out there. But I remember many a cold night. We made sure that we could go to the Beit Shemush before we went upstairs and went to bed because it's dark and it's cold out there. And if you had to move your bowels, oh boy. Now you can't do that in the you had these big pots like that you could urinate in. In the morning, you're going to take it out into the outhouse and pour it and wash it and all that. But sure, I remember waking up dark at night, telling my cousin who was 4 years old, Clarence, come on, go with me outside. I got to go to bed. He said, man, go ahead. I said, now I'm scared. Scared of what? The dark? But you just didn't want to go. And I wake him up anytime. Yes, my favorite cousin in life. He's still alive, too. He's 4 years older than I am, out there in Alexandria, Virginia. And brothers and sisters, this is what they were talking about when they said she had to go into the house. Because just picture in your mind, do you see if I might be right? It doesn't say that, but I mean, if you were rich and you had facilities, wouldn't you build them out for the servants and stuff rather than going into your? It doesn't make sense. So I said, that's what I think that meant. But let's continue.
Chapter 3. And Naomi, her mother-in-law, said unto her, my daughter, shall I not seek rest for thee, that it may be well with thee? And now is there not Boaz our kinsman, with whose maidens thou wast?
Now, what do you think she's plotting? I'm going to get you a husband.
Right.
And what better husband than the great guy who got all the properties and the monies and this and that? Surely, she said,
behold, he went in with barley tonight in the threshing floor. Wash thyself therefore, and anoint thee, and put thy raiment upon thee, and get thee down to the threshing floor.
Now, I ask you, is this plotting to get a husband or not? He said, and listen a little further, she said,
but make not thyself known unto the man until he have done eating and drinking.
And drinking, because we know he likes his booze. That's right. And when he's boozed, he's a little more mellow. And you can talk to him. And besides, you're going to look so nice. Look how they fixed it all up. He said,
and it shall be, when he lieth down, that thou shalt mark the place where he shall lie, and thou shalt go in and uncover his feet, and lay thee down.
I rest my case. He said,
and he will tell thee what thou shalt do.
Right.
And she said unto her, all that thou sayest unto me, I will do.
Yes.
And she went down unto the threshing floor, and did according to all that her mother-in-law bade her.
Mm-hmm. And they had her all fixed up, you know. Guarantee you. This mother-in-law is smooth. She did her hair. She got one of the few costumes that she might still have left that looked good, and they messed with it. And the last of the oil that they put a little bit here and there. You understand? Oh, yes. It'll make you look. When she swooped into there, every guy in the place looked up. Right. See, they're finished with the gleaning now and the harvest. And this is celebration time. Right. Fellas in there play the drums or the flutes or whatever, and it's like dance time and party time. If there was any prostitution going on in most countries, I'm ashamed to say that, they got some of them little girls who ain't nothing but you know what. And they're in there because here's where they can get a few tips. And these people, as we read in the Bible, you know, this is about people like us, flesh and blood. If they were here now and you pinched them, they'd say, ow, just like you would, and probably smack you in the face. Let's read.
And when Boaz had eaten and drunk, and his heart was merry, he went to lie down at the end of the heap of corn. Mm-hmm. And she came softly and uncovered his feet, and laid her down. And it came to pass at midnight that the man was startled and turned himself, and behold, a woman lay at his feet.
I tell you, he liked to drink. He was gone after he had him too much to drink, and he went to sleep. And he's laying there, and they're partying now in this big barn or whatever it is that they got. And when he wake up, he was startled. He said,
And he said, Who art thou?
Right.
And she answered, I am Ruth, thy handmaid. Spread therefore thy skirt over thy handmaid, for thou art a near kinsman.
because that was part of the way they did in those days. That is like saying, I'm going to take this woman. And at the last of the gleanings of the harvest, that's what I'm trying to say. And it was usual for that to happen at places like this. He understood that. But mind you, he still, as you read on, you'll see that he had a reason to say, well, let's not, he said,
Blessed be thou of Yahweh, my daughter. Thou hast shown more kindness in the end than at the beginning. And as much as thou didst not follow the young men, whether poor or rich.
right, because he said, I'm the elder-like guy, and you still pick me. Sure, because her mother-in-law told her, we're going to grab this one.
And now, my daughter, fear not. I will do to thee all that thou sayest, for all the men in the gate of my people do know that thou art a virtuous woman.
How do they know she's a virtuous woman? Because all of the men were flirting with her. That's how they know. That's exactly how they know.
Right.
You think those fellas didn't?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, come on now. We're Israelites. Here come a fine woman, unattached, no children, came in with one of the blessed mothers of the place that everybody know, and she come out to glean, or nobody flirted with her, then they must not be reading my history, because I know it, my people,
right.
And you know them too. Sure, they looked at her and said, whoa, whoa, I can see them now. You know how we do when a fine woman comes in right now, and you be at the dance hall, all the Israelites, and you know most of Israel, and here comes somebody, and she's in culture and all, and say, who's that one? So, I don't know, you ever seen her before? No. Man, I'm going to ask her to dance right on. You know why you all there? Because you know I'm telling the truth. But see, I've been around a long time, and in Israel too a long time. Israelites, male, female, we're not greatly different from anybody. Our big difference is, if you want to really know the big difference, I think, between Israelite people and all the other people of the earth, we've been super stupid. Why do I say that? Because we're the people who God said, I elect to be my favorite people of all people, and I'm the God of everything. I'm God of the wind, I'm the God of the rain. I'm the God of the thunder. I'm the God of the floods. I'm the God of the seasons. I'm the God of all trees and animals and people. And I chose Israel to be my favorite thing in the earth. And we say, God, we don't feel like it. Now you know. Let's read.
And now it is true that I am a near kinsman. Howbeit, there is a kinsman nearer than I.
Right. So he's been doing his homework too.
Right.
So he said, yeah, I wonder what would happen if I... Then he said, oh, there's that fella that if something happened to, what was their names? Machlon.
Machlon and Kilion.
Then
Kilion.
that I could get, you understand, to come. He said, but then such and such, who is a nearer cousin, a first cousin, we had all of our degrees and things and records, you know. We kept records. I don't want you to think that we were a bunch of like animalistic people or nothing. We formed so many things for all the nations that came on later to do that they wanted to say we did. We gave everybody the idea of God. Did you know that? We're the people. There was no greater man than Abraham. When it comes to knowing God, Muslims got it from him too, because he's first sired, if you remember, the Hagar, was that her name?
Okay.
Yes, that was his first son.
Right.
And he sent her away because the woman he loved so much said, no, no, no. And she was barren for a long, long time because he even went and the Egyptians laid with her. People tell me, they say, Cohen, you misinterpret that. That ain't right. I don't feel so. I'm the king of Egypt. I'm a real bad hombre in the whole earth. I am something else. Nothing like me now at that time. I take your wife from you, and you say, that is my sister. So I don't kill you with my terrible Egyptian troops if I want to, because I've been doing this. I'll come in and you say to my sister, yeah, well, I'm taking your sister and zoop to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm the best thing in the land, in the earth at that time. And I take her, and I keep her a certain amount of time. And then God visits me. So I give her back to you and tell you, Abram, don't ever be seen coming back this way or you're a dead man. And I didn't touch her? I don't believe that. I don't believe that. So then Abraham went and slept with her after he was crazy about this woman. Sure he did. And besides, God had it all done up. And when the woman came up with the baby, and she didn't like it, she told him, she said, she didn't say anything because she's the one that made Abram go with the Hagar, her handmaid, if you remember, if you know your history now. And then, when the woman became pregnant, then she got angry with her. I don't like her. And while you went and made, you're the one that said lay with her. She told him to lay with her so he could get us her. But then she got pregnant. He said, oh no, put them out. And he did it. Why? Because he loved the ground that she walked on. What was her name?
Sarah.
Sarah. And then that was the beginning of the Muslim, say Muslim, Arab, whatever you want to call them. That was the beginning of them. And they say he was a tough hombre. His mother was an Egyptian. And he went out and learned how to shoot the bow and arrow and join up with different people who was out there from the different ites, the Canaanites and this and that. Surely. And that's why they say, the Arabs even today, some of them will say that we should be the chosen people. You would be if God had chosen you. That's all there is to that. And God told him, when he came to God, he said, my woman wants me to get rid of the son, and she said, send him away. Said, because the one that she's going to have. And they laughed. Abram believed it because he loved this God, and he saw how this God protected him. That's the way I kind of feel, I love this God. He's been protecting me all my life. I've had a lot of things happen to me, good and bad. But I love this God. He still got me standing here. I am right now. Oh, brothers and sisters, you make friends with this God. You're not going to see him, so don't start being stupid and foolish. You understand? There's nothing you can make of him that would say, this must be what he looked like. Anybody that command the wind and the rain, anybody that can send a tsunami, that thing really got me, I had never heard of that in my life. I was so thrilled and frightened at that. Waters that go up the mountains and kill everything in sight and knock down the houses, and the animals knew it before it happened and went on up to way far up in the mountains and stuff, a day before it happened. And who got the nerve, the audacity there to stand up and tell me, well, maybe that wasn't God? Then maybe you're nuts. Maybe. You check yourself out. And then afterward, the waters receded. And the animals came back. The animals got more sense than we have. Not really. They don't know how to build a house out of bricks. They don't know anything about electricity. They don't. What do they know about? They know about communication with God who made all things. That's what they know that you don't know. They tell me that in certain areas when the storm is coming way, way miles away, the animals start getting restless and all. And you don't even know what's going on. It's fine. The sun is shining. It's a bright day. Hey, everything's good. A couple of hours later, here it comes. Boom, wham, bam. Animals knew it. They over there in the barn shivering and hovering where they was at, knowing it was coming. This is a strange God, but he's a great king, brothers and sisters. And we are his favorite people. Do not ask me why. I have no idea. But I know one thing. We're a great people. I know that. Because we have that connection of spirit with this God that I really don't think any nation in the earth or ever has had or will ever have, because we were chosen to be his beloved people. Of all, he said it, of all the nations in the earth, I chose you. And he went through quite a process. Went through Abraham and Sarah, and then Isaac, and then Jacob. And Jacob came with Esau, the Edomite. And if I'm not mistaken, didn't the Edomite come out first? And Jacob had on his heel, holding on to his heel. They knew they was going to battle. We still battling. I can't wait to get them Edomites again. I don't even want to try. Let me try to put on a different expression and say that nice. I can't wait to get them Edomites again. I don't want y'all to say this man is a killer or something. He's a terrible man to be teaching. But you know what I learned a long time ago? An enemy is an enemy is an enemy. But let's read on.
Tarry this night, and it shall be in the morning, that if he will perform unto thee the part of a kinsman, well, let him do the kinsman's part. But if he be not willing to do the part of a kinsman to thee, then will I do the part of a kinsman to thee, as Jehovah liveth.
Right, so he practically proposing to her there. He said,
lie down into the morning
ahead of me that has the right to take on this dead man's woman. Said, but if not, then I will definitely do that. Where am I, my Lord?
Lie down into the morning, verse 14.
Verse 14, all right.
And she lay at his feet until the morning, and she rose up before one could discern another.
Right, because you know what he's saying? Let's not start any rumors now. You understand? So we both have that on the agreement. Say, you go ahead and go over there and I'll go over here. You know, we don't want nobody to catch wind of what's going on, because he wants the young lady. But he said, I got to do it clean. There's somebody closer that could take you for a wife and build up in our family.
For he said, let it be not known that the woman came to the threshing floor.
Right.
And he said, bring the mantle that is upon thee, and hold it. And she held it, and he measured 6 measures of barley, and laid it on her. And he went into the city. And when she came to her mother-in-law, she said, who art thou, my daughter? And she told her all that the man had done to her. And she said, these 6 measures of barley gave he me, for he said to me, go not empty unto thy mother-in-law.
Right, that's smart man. Smart man. When he comes, he said, who gave you this? Oh, wow, we can hardly carry all these measures, because I want that lady and I want the mother-in-law on my side. I learned that a long time ago. Yeah, when I was a little fella in the ghetto, and all the guys was fresh, you know, with the little girls and stuff. And I remember one young lady in the block, she didn't even like me at all. But she was gorgeous. And all the men were after her. I said men, boys, we were youngsters. And she wouldn't go out with any of them. And her mother was pretty strict on her. So what did I do? I used to go to the store where her mother shopped when I saw her go in the shop. And I'd be there and said, Mrs. Such and Such, can I take the bags for you? She said, oh, sure. You know, you're a nice little gentlemanly fella. Yes, I am. She lived on the 4th floor. I got to walk up 4 flights with this. And she said, will you come in and have a glass of lemonade? No, ma'am. I just was nice. So about the 3rd, 4th time doing that, and I told her, I said, how's your daughter doing? You know, I said, oh, Eileen? Yeah, you know Eileen? Oh, yes. I said, she's doing fine, thank you. She said, I'm glad she's meeting a young fella like you. And I found out the lady and talking, she liked chocolate-covered cherries. My mother used to like the same ones. I bought her a box of chocolate. For what? Because this, I like you. You're a nice lady. And then finally I got around to it, yeah, I sure would like to take Aline out, And Aline didn't go out with anybody. And her mother told her, you go out with him. He's nice. That's right. Nothing ever came of it. Aline didn't like me at all. But we did go out. Yes, we did. And we were friendly, but she said, hey, you're not my time. I don't know what it was. But I never worried about it because if you're a manly man, you're never going to have to worry about having a lady. Some ladies will like you. That's right. Don't be greedy. But anyway.
Then said she, sit still, my daughter, until thou know how the matter will fall. Mm-hmm. For the man will not rest until he have finished the thing this day.
I tell you, this old lady is wise.
Chapter 4. Now Boaz went up to the gate and sat him down there. And behold, the near kinsman of whom Boaz spoke came by, unto whom he said, ho, such a one, turn aside, sit down here.
Right.
And he turned aside and sat down. And he took 10 men of the elders of the city and said, sit ye down here. And they sat down.
Now this is a homemade court. I've noticed that in certain parts of Africa, years ago I noticed that they still do that, where they bring out 10 men. That's where the Edomite gets his idea of, what do they call it, a minion? Something like that. Yeah, from these 10 men. And in Africa, in a lot of places, they did that, where you take the elder 10 men who are really known as men of knowledge because they have age on them, and they used to take a big barrel, big barrel type of thing, and put holes in it, and long straws, and they would be sitting around, and there's booze in this big barrel. But you couldn't drink until you came to a decision in whatever the case was. And they'd sit around, and the men would plead their cases, and then they would make the judgments on it. And afterwards, everywhere it was agreed that the majority, that this one was wrong and this one was right. And then, okay, and they sealed it. And usually, if you're a man of wealth, you tipped the 10 men, and then they could get to their booze. Yeah, it's so. We have a lot of traditions and things that we have not looked into because we're so busy being forced to do this white man's ways. And you ever notice something's wrong with us where white man's ways are concerned? We don't fit in for some reason or another. In fact, notice this, and I don't know if it's bad or good, but we are changing his ways and leading, you heard of the Pied Piper, you know the story about the Pied Piper of Hamelin? That got rid of all of the rats in a certain place in Germany. It's a fairy tale. And he played a flute, and they were overridden with rats. And he came in with this peculiar knowledge of being able to lure animals by blowing this flute. And he asked for a certain amount of money, and they gave it to him. And he's going to blow this flute and lead the rats away. And he went and led them away to some sort of destruction. And then he came for his money, and they wouldn't give it to him. And so he got the flute and played and grabbed all the children away into the mountains. I think it ended off with they didn't know where the children was and never come back. Well, anyway, like I say, this is sort of like this, They say, well, so what are we going to do? And they're sitting there, and they're going to decide what the punishment is or who wins the case or whatever. And that's why they all gathered here to do this. Let's see what happens, because I lost a thought there, and it'll come back to me.
And he said unto the near kinsman, Naomi that is come back out of the field of Moab selleth the parcel of land which was our brother Elimelech's.
Right.
And I thought to disclose it unto thee, saying...
You remember Elimelech now?
Okay.
Where in the first chapter he died. That was this woman's husband.
And I thought to disclose it unto thee, saying, buy it before them that sit here, and before the elders of my people. If thou wilt redeem it, redeem it. Mm-hmm. But if it will not be redeemed, then tell me that I may know, for there is none to redeem it beside thee, and I am after thee. Mm-hmm. And he said, I will redeem it.
I will redeem it. The man wanted the land. Whoa, think how bad he felt. Well, we'll see. Because now he says, yeah, hey, I hadn't thought of that. I'll take it.
Then
Poor
said,
Boaz. But now Boaz ain't through yet.
Then said Boaz, what day thou buyest the field of the hand of Naomi? Hast thou also bought of Ruth the Moabitess,
Right. He brought it up later. He didn't come out with the whole package.
the wife of the dead, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance?
Mm-hmm.
And the near kinsman said, I cannot redeem it for myself, lest I mar my own inheritance. Take thou my right of redemption on thee, for I cannot redeem it.
I did not understand this and still don't get that. Something here that I don't get. What would make him mar his right of redemption? And the only thing that I could think of is my wife does not want me to marry any foreigner. That's all I can think of. It's going to be heck when I walk in that house and say, oh, I'm marrying a Moabite. That's what you think. Well, you ain't going to keep me. Oh. And they weren't that bad in those days. They wasn't like the wives of today. The wives of the day, you go and marry the Moabite if you want. And when you come home tomorrow, and where are you? She's gone. She might leave a note, and it might be a bad one, because it might just have 2 words. I'll use the lesser word than what it'll have. Bunk you. And you're laughing because it's true. And I can't wait until we get a more favorable understanding and opinion of one another, male, female. Right. It has to happen soon, or we're not going to raise, I'll put it like this, or you're not going to raise any union. No, I say it like that because I know I'm trying my best. I want to raise up sons and daughters that are going to be in the house of Yisrael.
Amen. I
know it's going to be a struggle. I know it's going to be handicaps in some places. But brothers and sisters, God doesn't lie. He said he's going to bring us back. He's going to bring us back. Only thing is now, will we be in it? If somebody's going to be in it, will we be in it? And you don't get in it trying to trick people and lie and steal and cheat. And you know what? I think that he might not hurt us for lying and stealing and cheating. The enemy. You say, oh, Cohen, now I can hear my name again. I'm always, they say, yeah, Cohen Levi told us to lie, steal, and cheat. The enemy. And if you don't know how to do that, leave him alone. He knows better than you about that. You wind up on swinging on a noose. But brothers and sisters, all jokes aside, we are going to come back to Almighty God. And we're going to do it on high moral principles. Right. And that's what I say I think happened here to this man, but let's finish it out.
Now this was the custom in former time in Yisrael, concerning redeeming and concerning exchanging, to confirm all things. A man drew off his shoe and gave it to his neighbor. And this was the attestation in Israel. So the near kinsman said unto Boaz, buy it for thyself, and he drew off his shoe.
Right. And you know what? They had modified that law. Right. That wasn't what did the law say? Anyone know?
Okay.
How many know? All right, sell it to me then. Tell it to me. Everybody.
Shoe and spit in his face.
That's what he unloosed his shoe and spit in his face. And they had modified it. But then we've modified everything God said anyway. Yeah, but that was way back then. And so this is what the man, I can't see, or except, only thing I can see, his wife would be an interference. Other than that, I don't see anything that in the law that would mar him from having taken that woman. But Boaz was happy. He didn't care.
And Boaz said unto the elders and unto all the people, ye are witnesses this day, that I have bought all that was Elimelech's and all that was Kilion's and Machlon's of the hand of Naomi. Moreover, Ruth the Moabitess, the wife of Machlon, have I acquired to be my wife, to raise up the name of the dead upon his inheritance, that the name of the dead be not cut off from among his brethren and from the gate of his place. Ye are witnesses this day.
Right.
And all the people that were in the gate and the elders said, we are witnesses.
And this was quite something now, because don't forget, when he got these 10 men to make this decision, he also attracted a lot of attention because this is Boaz, the great rich man. And all of the people see the 10 men there, and they know it's something, and they come to all who could listen. By the time he finished, they had a big gang, a mob of people around listening to this and seeing what the elders are going to say. Because it was an open and shut case, really, since especially when the brother said, no, I don't want anything if I got to go and take a woman with it. He just wanted the land. And so
Yahweh make the women that is coming into thy house like Raquel and like Leah, which two did build the house of Yisrael.
that I didn't like, what they said there. Because that shows the way that we are in our tribal affections. What do you mean? What did they say to be like what?
Like Yahweh make the women that is coming to thy house like Raquel and like Leah, which two did build the house of Yisrael.
What about Zilpah and Bilhah?
Amen.
They had children too. No tribe is supposed to be lacking in the house of Yisrael when we return. Or none of us then maybe will have tribal affections. I don't know, affectations. I don't know, but I do know this, that there were 12 tribes in Israel. And if you want to, you might say, well, 13 because we count Ephraim and Manasseh. Nevertheless, I'm telling you that every tribe should get recognition in the house of Yisrael. I don't care if he ain't got but 2 people. He's from that tribe. But everyone wants to be Levi and Yehuda. Everybody cannot be Levi and Yehuda. There was, name the tribes. You know, maybe you don't know what I'm talking about. Well, don't know, you do? Well, let's name some then. Come on, I want 12.
Reuben, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher.
Come on.
I want to leave them out.
Yeah, we fell down a little, but we do know there's 12 tribes. Yeah. Who's the last one?
Benjamin.
Benjamin. And that's why we got in trouble with him. We got trouble with Joseph right now. They got a couple of young men, I'm not going to mention their name, you might know them, who are teaching that they should run the house of Yisrael now when they come back, because their father, Joseph, was the one that got us such good shape in Egypt, and thereby, we went through this already. Don't you read Hosea? You don't read that book? You don't read some of the portions of Jeremiah, Ezekiel, where God is down on them for what they did? Because they're the ones that they were angry because Shaul was a Benjamite, and that's of the same wife that sired Joseph. Oh, it goes back. We're a mess, you know. We are a mess. And brothers and sisters, learn your history. It's not a grind to get in and study it, because it's very, very interesting. And if you think you know your tribe, then learn about your tribe and see, because every one of them is highly respected in the courts of God's glory, or he wouldn't have given us 12. I'm very proud. I've had men that tell me, said, there are no tribes, and so we can't figure out tribes, blah, 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 blah. And, you know, and I told him, I said, you may be right, my Lord, for all of you. I'm a Levite. And I get men angry like that. I got a man that gets angry as he can get with me about that. Because every time, and I listen to him, and I listen to his ways that he has it, that it is so that here's what happened, you couldn't have gone from that and that, and I said, I understand. And so you are no tribe man, right? Right. You know your house of Israel, right? Okay, I'm Levi. And that's so picayune of me to bother that brother like that. But I am Levi. That's all. My father acted like what I think a Levite was. His father, my grandfather on my father's side, acted the same. And when I read it, and I remember the thing that sticks most in my mind, when I first went through Judaism for 7 years, where they call each other black Jews, although and that irritated me from the beginning. because I had enough common sense. But I wanted to make sure, you know, before I go bouncing off here, I'm just going to try and tell people off. But I say that to say, black Jews, well then, should I have to say I'm a brown Levy? You know what I'm saying? It doesn't make sense. Do you say a white Irishman? A brown or a yellow Chinaman? You don't say that. What do you mean? That's not an identity. That's like an accusation. So we try to get ourselves together. And all of you remember when I'm gone out of here for good, or when you wanted to describe somebody and say, yeah, that's that Cohen Levi guy, Ben Levy. Thank you. It's nice to come back home. But let's finish this story now.
Yehovah make the woman like that is come into thy house like Raquel and like Leah, which two did build the house of Yisrael, and do thou worthily in Ephraim, and be famous in Beit Lechem, and let thy house be like the house of Perez, whom Tamar bore unto Yehuda, of the seed which Yehovah shall give thee of this young woman.
Now, he got his little tribal officiation in there, didn't he? That's Yehuda. And you know that one. That was so bad. Yehuda charged that woman with being a whore and had to back off because he made a bad mistake. Because he laid with her because she posed herself as a harlot with a mask on, and then he couldn't see. And he went in to buy of her wares and made her pregnant. And then accused the woman of not waiting for his son. And when she came out, and she had tricked him into giving the staff and his ring and something else. I forget. Anyway, the staff and the ring. And when she said, by the man, I'm pregnant by whose are these, can you imagine? Here you are, first of all, in contempt of this wench. And she said, the man, my Lord, and all the witnesses now, who made me pregnant is, he shrunk up like a little dwarf. I tell you, beware of what you do with women. Women are shrewd in their own manner. Try and have a binding spot with you and your woman that you all can maybe, listen, everybody falls out. I remember my old teacher used to say, tongue and teeth fall out sometimes. Yes, but you keep some kind of respect for each other, also with brethren. You understand what I'm saying? With brethren, all of us. And if they are wrong and they can't see the wrong, that's their wrong. You don't have to follow them. And if you can help, help. If it comes that you have to hinder, leave it alone. Leave it alone. Finish it out, my Lord.
So Boaz took Ruth, and she became his wife. And he went in unto her.
Right.
And Yehovah gave her conception, and she bore a son. And the woman said unto Naomi, Blessed be Yehovah, who have not left thee this day without a near kinsman, and let his name be famous in Yisrael. And he shall be unto thee a restorer of life, and the nourisher of thine old age. For thy daughter-in-law, who loveth thee, who is better to thee than 7 sons, have borne him.
Right, paid off.
And Naomi took the child, and laid it in her bosom, and became nurse unto it.
Now, when they say nurse unto it, that didn't mean she was giving him suck. Naomi was old, and she ain't got nothing to make that milk come into her. She means she laid in her arm, became nurse to it.
Right.
She took care of it. She diapered it, and she fed it, and she did everything. She was so glad. She thought she was never going to have a child or whole, and now she got her own grandson, because a son is always a blessing when you're trying to do politics, especially in any nation, the male. And a lot of women don't like that idea. God made those rules. God made those rules. He made it way back in the Garden of Eden when he said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make a helpmeet for him. And that doesn't mean, men, that you're not going to be a helpmeet for her too. We've got to learn that we are going to be together. That's what it's supposed to be about, brothers and sisters. Marriage together. Oh, man and his wife, or wives. That's the bad point. Why? It's only bad point here in America. You ever notice In all the earth, women always outnumber the man. I remember a lady calling me up and she said to me, she said, I think it's very bad that a man should have more than one wife. And I said to her, where are you calling from? And she told me in some place. And I said, how many men you figure are there? And I'm just roughly telling to you because it wasn't the exact thing. I forget, it's been years ago. She said, let's say, she said, 300 men. I said, and how many women you think in the town? She said, oh, about 900. I said, when the men take a wife for them one-on-one, I said, what should the other 600 do? Should they play lesbo? I mean, well, tell me now. Or they have to leave town or something. I said that if you can have a polygamous marriage with ladies and you are a gentleman, it can work. It can work. I'm not trying to brag when I say that because I've been in a polygamous situation for so many years. So many years. Any of you know my Nashim, the wives that are still alive? You know that they are nice ladies with one another. You ever seen them? Anybody in here seen them? All right. You ever seen them floor up each other? And you say, well, that don't mean they don't. No, it don't mean they don't, but you don't see it. And if so, that's a good binding because I'm still married to them. Yes. We want to be a different people now. And the men got to take on some responsibilities. Yes, sir. You're not taking women just to lay with them. That's bad. You might as well go to the whorehouse. I mean, just to lay with them, if that's all you're going to do. That ain't what marriage is all about. Brothers and sisters, let's fortify this nation now. The more you learn, this is a beautiful book. This is one beautiful book. Try and stay in it. I stay open to anything. My phone is always ringing off the hook because they want to know. I don't know, so somehow or another people think I have knowledge. And you know what? I hope I do. I pray to God all the time. And if I stall you, it's because I got to look up something to see. Because you come up with it, you'd be surprised the things they ask Cohen Levi. And I never falter with you. And there's men here who are just as bright and intelligent as Cohen Levi, because Cohen Levi is nothing special. God is special all by himself. Remember that. And finish it out, brothers and sisters, he said.
And the woman, her neighbors, gave it a name, saying, there is a son born to Naomi, and they called his name Obed. He is the father of Jesse, the father of David.
And mind you now, he's the father of Jesse, the father of David. And David's grandmother, that means great-grandmother, was a Moabite.
Right.
And that's why when Saul and them, Saul was chasing him, he could run over into Moab and hide out in certain places. Because they all say, we got a stake in him too. Yes, think about it. Oh, if we ever get into David, I love to teach and talk about David. That was one of the greatest men I ever heard of in my life. And he had done everything. He murdered. You remember that? You know the story? He murdered to get a woman. The woman was married. He married her husband. He wasn't there, but he sent him to get married. And God took away the child that came from at first, and then gave him Shalom. And that's how Shalom got to be king. He had a whole gang of sons ahead of Shalom, and he put him to be king. He was very wise and intelligent man, and then he turned out to be an idiot before he left. And he didn't live to be as long as old as his father. Watch your P's and Q's, Israel. We may be playing a game and having a fad. God is not kidding. And I'm really going to do that. Big mouth I got.
Now these are the generations of Perez. Perez begot Hezron, and Hezron begot Ram, and Ram begot Aminadab, And Aminadab begot Nachshon.
Nachshon.
And
I was pause on this one. You know who Nachshon was? Great Yehuda man. He's the one that led all the armies of Israel through the 40 years and was under the great man who fit the battle of Jericho. What's his name?
Joshua.
You better believe it. Yehoshua fit the battle of Jericho. Was that a strange one? Was that a great thing? You think there's no God? What he said? Ella Fitzgerald. You ever hear of Ella Fitzgerald? Yes, sir. She was a great black singer. A great, great, great black singer. And before she passed away, they made an advertisement of her on television. Any of you might have seen it, where they was showing, I don't know what the advertisement was for, but had her sing to a pitch and the glass broke. We knew that back in the days of Yehoshua, because God told him, he said, walk around the wall a certain amount of time and be quiet. And said, and the last time, I think it was the seventh time, he said, everybody shout, blow the horn, and those things, tremors of sound, brought down what? The walls of Jericho. Joshua fit the battle of Jericho, and the walls came tumbling down. I can go on all day about the greatness of our God and about the expectations of this great nation, Yisrael. But I don't want to be one of those who stands up and just think he's so great, he got to go blah, blah, blah. When I go blah, 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 it's because I remember so many things I think are important and that, will catch your fancy. And that's why I do that. But now, like I say, I thank you for your time. I thank God for the time. I thank you for your attention. And I do hope and pray that this is going to be the thriving of a great nation right here in this room, the parts of thriving, because there'll be others thriving with you. And I hope that we will be like this when we come to all of the thriving ones who have a little bit different here and a little bit different here, that'll be like this. I hope, because that's the only way we are going to persevere. May Yehovah be with us all and enjoy the day. It's a beautiful day.
There's one more verse.
Shalom Aleichem. Slika?
One more verse.
I'm sorry.
One more verse.
I'm trying to hear. Wait, excuse me. Let me hear what the brother says.
There's one more verse.
Oh, one more verse. Salika. Okay. We got a few names. Clean them up.
And Nachshon begot Salmon.
Yeah.
And Salmon begot Boaz. And Boaz begot Obed.
Yeah.
And Obed begot Yishai. And Yishai begot David.
Yeah. Dawid, one of my favorites. Toda Rabbah, the cool camp. For allowing me to take your spot. Now you take it out.